Let me tell you something. If you told me the biggest fight of my life would be over a stretch of cedar fence and a damn lake instead of a rifle and a radio, I'd have laughed you out the door. But that's the kind of joke life plays sometimes. One minute you're hanging up your uniform for good, thinking the hardest part's behind you. And the next, you're smack in the middle of suburbia, squaring off with a pastel-clad tyrant named Karen, the so-called queen of the Hickory Ridge Estates HOA. Yeah, that happened. Welcome to Georgia. I bought those 40 acres after my last deployment, creek, dock, the whole 9 yards. Figured I'd earned a little quiet, maybe some space where the loudest thing was the sound of frogs by the lake and my own heartbeat. No HOA. That was key. I checked it 3 times before I signed a single line. I wanted to be left alone, period. My kind of peace doesn't come with bylaws or pastel color palettes. The only rule was stay on your side. Didn't take long for that dream to get tested. At first, I thought a fence was overkill. Nearest neighbors were half a mile away, tucked in their shiny new subdivision, all with matching mailboxes and the kind of landscaping that needs a manual. But then, on a hot July afternoon, I spotted 2 kids with towels and inflatable donuts, barreling straight through my pasture and launching cannonballs off my dock. I almost laughed until their buddies showed up, then teenagers, then parents, like my lake was their own personal water park. Someone even brought a speaker and set up by the dock. One lady asked where the bathrooms were. I wish I was making that up. So I built the fence. 8 feet tall, cedar and steel, big iron gate at the front. Posted every sign I could find. Private property. No trespassing. It was less about keeping people out and more about spelling it out. This wasn't a public park, and paradise didn't come with a shortcut. The day I finished, I stood back and felt like I'd finally drawn my own line in the dirt. That's when Karen arrived. Thursday morning, scraping paint off my workshop, and here comes a white Lexus, oozing luxury and condescension. She steps out, 50-ish, blonde, visor, clipboard, calls out like we're old friends. Hi, I'm Karen, president of the HOA. You could practically smell the passive aggression. She acts all friendly, says the fence is disrupting the natural flow of the area. I tell her straight. It's my land, keeps people out. She flashes a smile that says, bless your heart, and tells me, several families have been using the lake for years. I just look at her. Not anymore. I'm not part of your HOA, and that lake's on my deed. Her eyes go cold, but the smile stays. Well, we'll be in touch. I watch her snap photos of my fence, my gate, my mailbox, then drive off. And right then, I knew. She wasn't going to let this go. 3 days later, I get a fat certified envelope. Violation notice. Their logo, their fake fountain, all that jazz, says my fence is blocking historic access and violating their community aesthetic. They threaten $100 a day fines if I don't tear it down in 10 days. I laughed out loud. My land had never been part of their HOA. I had the deed, survey, everything. But it was the tone of the letter, like their rules reached past their property line, like I'd just fold and obey. I didn't answer. I sent it all to my lawyer, George, guy sharp as a tack, meaner than a hornet, and waited. That's when things got weird. Karen's Lexus started rolling by the gate every day. Strangers slowed down, staring through the bars. Then, one morning, footprints by the lake again. Kids sneaking around the fence. I put up cameras, motion lights, nothing crazy. Just enough to let folks know Big Brother's got a Remington and a sense of humor. Then someone rammed my fence, left tire tracks back toward the trail. Called the sheriff, a young deputy named Dalton. He shrugged. Some HOA folks get real intense. He wasn't wrong. The next week, another letter, nastier. Now they're accusing me of monopolizing natural resources. They attach a blurry satellite shot of my lake with a big red circle and the words public use zone. Like it was the town pool. Word gets out. Howard, my egg-buying neighbor, tips me off. They're holding an HOA meeting, my name all over the agenda. I wasn't invited, but Howard snuck some photos. Karen, front and center, spinning tails, blocking access, uncooperative behavior. I'm suddenly the villain, the recluse, the guy who hates kids and nature. That night, a beer bottle clinks off my gate. I send the camera footage to George. He says, they're probing. Let's see how far they go. I reinforce the locks, add more cameras. All I wanted was boundaries, clear, legal, visible. But Karen? She just turned up the heat. Early morning, 5:15 a.m., someone pounding on my door. Old habits kick in. I grab the shotgun, not to use, just for company. Crack open the door. Two deputies and a clipboard guy, compliance officer from the county. They claim my land's obstructing previously accessible trails, possible confrontations. I show them my paperwork, deed, survey, the whole 9 yards. Clipboard guy looks like he swallowed a lemon, mutters about historic use and prescriptive easements. I laugh. 2 summers of suburbanites swimming doesn't make it public. Deputies nod, apologize, leave. 10 minutes later, Karen's at the gate, arms folded, staring right into the camera. Then comes the real circus, social media. Bradley, one of the HOA's loyalists, starts a Facebook group, Take Back the Lake. My lake, drone shot, big heart around it, ours not his. Memes, fake stories, claiming I threatened kids, dumped chemicals, hoarded water. The posts spread, next door, flyers, mailboxes. Suddenly, I'm the neighborhood villain. I beef up security, add gravel to the trails so it's louder if anyone tries sneaking through. One night, I catch 2 teens trying to climb the fence. One twists his ankle. I call the sheriff. No charges. But their parents? Oh, they're livid. It was safe before you built the fence. The deputy just says, "Ma'am, your son was trespassing." I go inside, exhausted, angry. I wasn't out to be the villain, but I wasn't going to play the victim either. Up to this point, I tried to handle it quietly. Fence, papers, head down. But Karen kept escalating, so I did too. George brings in Alex, a forensic auditor, former IRS guy, owed him a favor. We start digging through public filings. Turns out, the HOA's charter hadn't been renewed in years. Audits missing, board minutes never filed. I file complaints, ask for reviews. Next thing I know, the county and the state are looking at their finances. The termites were already in the walls. Howard says the next HOA meeting is wild. Karen ranting about paper terrorism, accusing me of bankrupting them. But she doesn't know the IRS is already asking for financial records, and a compliance officer is showing up soon. Then the cracks appear. Tom, from the finance committee, says Karen's been using HOA money for private lawyers. Denise says she was threatened for speaking out. Tom gives me a flash drive, emails, financials, backup notes. I find instructions from Karen telling board members to move money to a private legal fund, coaching them to frame it as community defense. There's even an email to a mapping contractor, asking if they can make the shoreline look ambiguous. Contractor refuses. Karen says, "We just need it to look good." I send it all to George. He laughs, says, "We're past usable. This is exhibit material." Suddenly, the Take Back the Lake page disappears. Karen's showing up at the property line, trying to bribe my neighbors. My security cameras get scratched, just enough to send a message. But the walls are closing in. Tom finds a second bank account, 60 grand, funneled through a shell LLC. George says, "That's criminal. We're going to the DA." And just like that, it snowballs. The IRS launches a real audit. HOA meetings implode. Members walking out, demanding audits, threatening to suspend Karen. The HOA website vanishes. Neighbors bring me pie, apologize. Some offer to help fix the fence. The local news picks it up. HOA accused of faking evidence. Karen tries to settle privately. Her lawyer begs for negotiations. George laughs it off. She's just trying to bury the evidence. Then it breaks wide open. Karen flees, draining the HOA's accounts, wires money to a fake Florida account. By the afternoon, she's picked up by state troopers outside Jacksonville, trunk full of cash, fake IDs, and a laminated HOA map with my lake crossed out. The news explodes. Karen Monroe, HOA president, busted for embezzlement and fraud. In court, Tom tells the judge he came forward because Mike never lied, not once. The judge orders a full audit, freezes the HOA, dissolves the board. Karen pleads out, 18 months federal, barred from any board. The new administrator apologizes, said the board overreached, promised no more talk of shared access. I frame that letter and hang it in my shop next to a piece of the fence they tried to break. The neighborhood quiets down. Some folks move out. Others invite me to block parties. I politely decline. I add more wild growth by the lake. Let it look less like a beach, more like what it always was, private shoreline, wild and free. Sometimes I sit on the dock, listen to the wind, the water, the silence that I fought for. And here's the thing. That fence wasn't about wood and steel. The real line was drawn the first day I said no, and kept saying it, louder each time, until nobody could pretend not to hear. People say freedom means doing what you want. I think it's knowing when to stop others from doing what they want of you. Howard dropped by before he moved away, left me a bottle of whiskey, and said, "You shook the system. Most folks just bend." I told him, "Sometimes you just gotta stand your ground." He smiled, said, "That's enough to knock the whole thing over." I still walk the fence line, check the locks, not out of fear, just pride. Because every post, every inch, says one thing. You don't get to redraw the map just because you bought a house near mine. This land is mine, and it still knows my name. So tell me, was I right to hold the line, or did I just make myself the villain in somebody else's story? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me where you stand on justice and boundaries. And if you've got your own battle scars from fighting for what's yours, I want to hear about it. Let's see who's really drawing the lines in their lives.